All right, anyway, like I said before, I tell stories to kids in the schools, and I figured I'd just end with one that I love to tell the kids. So, when I was a kid growing up in West Virginia, I knew where I could play and where I couldn't. And I definitely knew that the house across the street was off limits, because everybody knew a witch lived there. I was one day in the front yard, kicking the ball around with my brother. I kicked it just a little too hard, though. The ball went sailing across the street, and sure enough, it rolled right into the yard of that old house. I turned and I looked at the house, and there it was. The bushes were all knotted and weedy. The yard was unkempt. And the front porch was hanging at a little bit of an angle. There was a couple of broken windows, and the shutters were all askew. But I wanted my ball back. I wasn't going to leave it over there. So I walked across the street. I looked around. I didn't see anyone. I tiptoed through the bushes. I looked around some more. I still didn't see anyone. So I took a step or two into the yard. My ball had rolled all the way up against the porch. So I had to cross the whole yard. I kept looking around the whole time while I was doing it, taking step after step after step, closer and closer to the house. Then when I finally got there, I made sure there was no one around. Then I quickly bent down, and I picked up the ball, and I turned around, and there she was, standing right behind me. She had long black hair, and a long black dress, and she had long green fingernails, and red lips. And she came over to me, and she said, "Little boy, do you want to know what I do with my long green fingernails and my red lips?" I said, "No!" And I dropped the ball and I ran, but she was behind me, so I only had one direction I could run, and that was up the front steps to the house. I ran to the door and I tried it. Fortunately, it was open. I ran inside and I slammed it behind me, but I didn't know where to go. And I heard the door turning behind me. And in she walked. She had the long black hair, and the long black dress, and the red lips, and the long green fingernails. And she came over to me and she said, "Little boy, do you want to know what I do with my red lips and my long green fingernails?" I said, "No!" And I ran up the stairs. It was all I could think to do. I ran up to the very top of the stairs, and there was a long hallway in front of me. I didn't know what to do. All the doors were closed. I heard her creeping up the stairs behind me. I turned and I ran down the hall. All the doors that I passed were locked. I tried each one as I ran down the hall till I reached the very, very end. I turned around, and there she was, right behind me. She had the long black hair, and the long black dress, and the red lips, and the long green fingernails. And she said, "Little boy, do you want to know what I do with my red lips and my long green fingernails?" I said, "No!" And I reached for the door, and I tried it, and I ran inside because this one fortunately was unlocked. I ran in, but there was nowhere else to go. This was a dead-end room. I ran over to the nearest window, and I tried it, but it wouldn't budge. I turned around, and there she was, right behind me, with her long black hair, and her long black dress, and her red lips, and her long green fingernails, and she said, "Little boy, do you want to know what I do with my red lips and my long green fingernails?" I had nowhere else to go. I backed up against the wall and I said, "Yes, okay, what do you do with your